Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's hard to believe that this game will be 1 year old next month. I can still remember the hype very vividly, speculating on what characters might get in. Luckily, that hype can still be here as more and more characters are making their way to the fighting stage as DLC. And we are already at episode 7 of this series, where we look at characters that might get in who are from franchises that already have taken a spot in Ultimate. Something that's not very likely, as Sakurai will probably go for series that don't have a character in Smash yet. So he can bring more game worlds together, as he said himself. But it's still fun to speculate, and we might see some of them in the next Smash game. We are slowly coming to an end with this series, as we are making our way into franchises from Ultimate. But don't worry, there is still a lot more to come. And so the franchises we will go over today are Splatoon, Castlevania, Persona, Dragon Quest, and Banjo Kazooie. No Fatal Fury in this episode, which at the moment is the last one left, but I will talk more about that at the end of the video. And if you have a favorite character from the franchises I just mentioned, be sure to leave them down below in the comments, so I can see what you really want as well. It doesn't matter who they are or if they already have a role in Smash in some way, just go with your ultimate pick. Now let's begin with our aquatic friends that are allergic to water. Splatoon!
Yes!
I like Splatoon. I played a lot of it on Wii U, and I also spent some good hours on it with Splatoon 2 on Switch. I had hoped that they just took a little bit longer with it, as the games were still very similar. I know that not many people had a Wii U, so they didn't play the original game, but still. I'm sure Splatoon 3 will be a banger as well. There are of course some characters that would be great as fighters in Smash from that franchise. Like maybe the Squid Sisters as a duo character. Or Gelfonzo, but that's just purely because I really love his name. I mean, Gelfonzo! Come on, what's not to love about that? But there is one really obvious pick, and you guys know what it is. The perfect echo for the Inklings, the Octolings. In the original Splatoon, you were only able to play as Inklings. There was some hidden lore to be found, and some other species were walking about in Copolis. But with Splatoon 2's DLC Octo Expansion, one more species was added to this lineup, which made sure that we are now able to play with two entities, the Octolings. They look very similar to the Inklings, but are based more on octopuses instead of squids, if that wasn't already apparent from the name. Their moveset could be mostly the same, but it would also be interesting to mix it up just a little bit. Maybe make them stronger but a bit slower to change the game style so people can pick the one that suits them best. And of course, in Splatoon there are many weapons to be found. So maybe give them something else instead of the standard splatter shot. And another obvious difference is that they can change into an octopus instead of a squid. They are a clear choice to me, and if we will get a new Smash one day, then I'm almost certain that these guys will get in. A great inclusion with Smash Ultimate was the Castlevania series. It's safe to say that this is one of the most popular or well-known franchises in the gaming industry. It's of course half the reason that popularized the Metroidvania genre. And the series spans well beyond video games with comic books and an animated series that's currently running on Netflix. And again, as it is with a lot of these popular franchises, there are a lot of characters to choose from. That's mostly also thanks to the fact that there are many games to be found in the Castlevania series. So where do you start? Well, you could always go with someone from the monster-slaying Belmont clan, who are mostly the main protagonists of the Castlevania games. And there are still some cool ones to choose from, like Trevor, Sonia, or Leon. But since we already have two of these family members in the game, I think it's more interesting to look for a character elsewhere. Another popular choice would be Alucard, who was the protagonist of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. He isn't a Belmont, but he is a very strong sword-wielding dark magic user. He even has the ability to shapeshift into a bat or a wolf. And even though I would love to see Alucard, personally I think one choice would be even better. Alucard's father, Dracula. If it wasn't obvious by now, Alucard is an anagram for Dracula. I just wanted to point that out. Dracula is the main antagonist for the series and is the final boss in most of the games. He is very powerful and has a whole army of darkness that the Belmonts try to destroy. You can also see him as a boss in Smash Ultimate. Why I think it would be slightly better than Alucard is because I believe it's good to add some more bad guys to the game. And with Dracula you have the perfect one. Just like his son, he is able to shapeshift, which is also apparent when you fight him in Smash. He can teleport, use dark magic, and is able to conjure up golems that he makes from skeletons. He uses forms of mind control over his enemies and other creatures. Plus, being a vampire, he also likes to suck your blood. If that isn't evil, then I don't know what is. A perfect counter for the Belmonts in Smash. I'm not really familiar with the Persona series, but seeing how happy people got with Joker being included in the game, I decided to do some research. These games are huge, heavily story driven, and because of that a lot of characters and enemies are to be found. With Joker coming from Persona 5 means that there are plenty of games to take inspiration from. The first one released in 1996. So there is a lot of history to go over to pick a character. But I want to keep it more recent. Why not just take it one step back to one of the most popular entries in the series, Persona 4, and go with the protagonist from that one, Yu Narukami. Also a name that I saw a couple of times as a suggestion on the previous video. Yu of course also makes use of a persona, and in his case the standard one is Izanagi, a knight-looking sword wielder. But his sword has a huge reach, almost like a spear. He's also on what seems to be ice skates all the time. But it's the perfect persona for Yu, as he himself also wields a sword, which of course is different than Joker that we can find in Smash. Yu is just a bit more of a physical fighter. But like I said, I'm not very familiar with the series. So if you think there is a better pick, then be sure to let me know. I'm curious who you want to see for this one. Whoever thought that Dragon Quest would be making its way to Smash as well? Well, most people, with multiple supposed leaks and of course Dragon Quest XI coming to Switch. But still, it was great to hear when we finally got the announcement that we wouldn't just get the hero from Dragon Quest XI, but multiple other protagonists as well. Now we already have, thanks to that, a lot of this series goodness in Smash, but there is always room for more. But in the form of what character would that be? Another hero? I don't think so. We already have 4, which is sufficient for this moment. No, I think we have to go with the most familiar face of the franchise. Our happy blobby friend, the slime. Now its design is of course very simple and there isn't much that can be made into a moveset when you first glance at it. But when you think about it, there is so much that you can do with this character that could make for some amazing moves. And a very cool character as an addition to the roster. A slime can of course be very flexible and change his forms. So as a special, I would love to see him transforming in different slimes that can be found throughout the series. Like that hard metal slime, or the strong slime knight as a side special. And as a down special, the bubble slime for some poison damage. One game that I absolutely loved in the series was Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime. I had so much fun with this one. And the best thing was, you would play as an actual slime. So there are a lot of moves that can be taken from that game. Like the Elasto Blast, and the floating around thing that you can do in that game. As a final smash, he could use the Schleimen tank for some massive damage. It might be a simple character to look at, but I think it could have one of the most interesting potential movesets. The number 1 on my wishlist for the Super Smash Bros. Newcomer has always been Banjo Kazooie. It was my first game for my first console. I have so many fond memories of Banjo Kazooie, and for Banjo Tooie as well. I grew up with these two, so getting them in Smash was an absolute dream come true. I was literally shaking during Nintendo's E3 presentation. Good times. And of course, as one of my favorite video game series of all time, I wouldn't mind getting some more characters in. And again, there are a couple of obvious picks as there are some important key characters throughout Banjo Kazooie in both games. Like Bottles, literally the first guy you encounter when starting your adventure. He helps you out by teaching you new moves. In the sequel, this guy dies in like the first 5 minutes, but still. He isn't really active, but he is the one teaching you moves. So he has to have some skills himself, right? But no, that wouldn't be my pick, for he isn't really that action heavy. My personal pick would be Mumbo Jumbo, Banjo Kazooie's shaman friend that transforms you into different creatures. I know a lot of people want Gruntilda as well, but I'll get back to that in a second. While in Banjo Kazooie, Mumbo is just the guy that you have to pay to transform into some wacky stuff, in Banjo Tooie he gets a much bigger role, as he is playable in that game. Go to him and you are able to roam around while performing multiple magical spells. That can help Banjo Kazooie progress in the game. A moveset for him could be varied, as he is able to do zapping attacks with his staff and use some of his spells as his specials. He could even have Mingy Jongo, his evil robot clone, as an alternative skin. And of course Grunty would also be amazing. But I just always loved Mumbo, which is purely my personal preference. I wouldn't mind to get this evil witch in as well. She is big, bad and could incorporate a lot of magical attacks. It would be awesome to see a heavy, evil magic user in Smash. And if they would add one more character from the Banjo Kazooie franchise, I think they would go for her. Which I would be happy with nonetheless. So that's that. The last video in this series. For now. Of course, I haven't talked about the Fatal Fury franchise yet, and we do know that we will get more DLC eventually. We will be getting Fighter 5 from the Fighters Pass, and after that even more fighters will be developed. But we don't know how many that's going to be. Maybe 1 or 2 or 50, who knows? But I will save Terry and Fatal Fury for once we know more about the other fighters. So you will be getting at least one more video from me in this series. But don't be sad, as there are still many reasons to subscribe to XPref right now. As you can watch all the other episodes from this series, which goes over each and every franchise in Smash, there is a truckload of other interesting Nintendo videos to be found, including other Super Smash stuff, like this video, where I point out why Ryu Hayabusa is a very likely candidate as the next DLC character. And most importantly of all, a very new Top 5 Smash series that will release very soon. No more existing franchises in Smash, but a look at third-party developers and some interesting characters from those that might have a chance. You don't want to miss that. So click that subscribe button for unlimited fun. And also for helping out this small creator. Guys, thank you so much, you are awesome, and be on the lookout for much more XPref.